Hi everyone. In this series of videos, I'm going to read you a book by Melinda Clarke, which is called Waymakers for Peace. Actually, it is the interview of survivors of Hiroshima atomic bombing. And today is the first interview. Methodist minister, Reverend Tanimoto. In addition to being a Methodist minister, I was in charge of our civil defense programs during the war. In the beginning, I trained housewives to extinguish fires and such things. But later, I taught them to use the bamboo spear. It was my job to train the local citizens, mostly women, since the men were at war. I was to train them to fight to death when the enemy landed. I taught them to hide in the ditches with sharp bamboo sticks and wait for the enemy to walk down the road. Then they were to jump out and shove the bamboo swords into the enemy and kill them. I taught them when the enemy, the American soldier, comes past, jump out of the bush and spare them, then run and hide. That lesson was spare shelter, over and over, spare shelter. Spare shelter. Bamboo sticks. Can you imagine? Bamboo sticks against this horrible new weapon. We didn't have a chance. What happened was beyond human comprehension. Even after it happened, we couldn't comprehend. There was no answer for defense. Can you imagine how stupid it was to teach a spare shelter against the bomb? I survived because I was walking to a building that was behind a small hill that faced downtown. I was standing in such a way that the building was to my right and the stone garden wall was to my left. It was my daughter's wedding day, and I was pushing the wedding dresses in a wheelbarrow to the wedding hall. All of a sudden, with no obvious reason, I was just knocked to the ground. I never heard the bomb. I think I lost consciousness for just a moment, maybe even less than a moment. But I was on the ground and the wheelbarrow was upside down with all the expensive dresses and kimono thrown over the area. It was very strange. I was very confused. What was wrong? I was about to get up when suddenly wood and debris fell from the sky and hit me on the head and back. So I stayed on the ground. I didn't know what had happened. I didn't hear any bomb. There was no sound at all. I couldn't even hear the wood falling. I heard later that it was the A bomb, and the reason I didn't hear anything was because the blast was so strong it blew away the sound barrier or something like that. When I did start to hear, it was an odd sound. I ran to hill area where I could look down to the city. I couldn't believe my eyes. The whole city of Hiroshima was gone. And the noise I heard, it was people. They were moaning and walking like zombies with their arms and hands stretched out in front of them, and their skin was hanging off their bones. Their clothes were burnt off, yet there was no fire in my area. Then I saw a streetcar with people in it on the outskirts of the city. I ran down the hill as fast as I could, but the closer I got, the harder the running was, because there were no roads and the debris was all over. There were more and more dead bodies, most of them burned and charred. but still I didn't see any fire in that area. I was close to the streetcar now and started to wave and yield to the people. I was so happy to see them. Words can't describe what I felt. As I ran up to the streetcar, I saw that everyone was just sitting or standing there. Probably in shock, I thought. Even the conductor wasn't moving. When I finally reached it, the door was open. I got in as far as the first step before I saw that everyone was not only dead but petrified. They were frozen in time, in a flash. Passengers who stood had their hands in the straps. They were dead and standing up. No one fell. It was so strange. No words could describe the emotions. I felt so alone. The heat after the blast was indescribable. People started to look for help. Doctors who survived ran away and hid. They hid under bridges and wept. There was a reluctance to help. It was an unspeakable experience for humans, overwhelming. That was just the beginning. We sent all able-bodied people out to clean up the dead bodies. People came into the city and searched for their loved ones. The bodies lay in the hot August sun in the muggy weather for days. The bodies began to smell. We wanted to give everyone a chance to find their loved ones, but the stench was overwhelming. People went looking for family members. When they found them and tried to pick them up, the skins slipped off and the bodies just slid. Or bodies would be mostly skeletons for crews to pick them up and toss them into the truck. For many, that was the worst sound of those days, the sound of bones hitting against the side of the truck, over and over. It never seemed to stop. All those people. The cleanup job was so big that finally the government came in with a truckload after truckload of dirt and just covered the entire city. The original city of Hiroshima is actually buried beneath us. The people of Hiroshima are buried beneath the city. Some people today say that they can hear the spirits call them at night, especially when they walk over the bridges. I will tell you something that isn't told so much. Do you know those pretty grassy mounds that you walk by in Peace Park? The ones that sometimes people sit on and relax. Do you know what they are? Many of them are piles of bones and bodies that were heaped up into piles and covered with dirt. Grass eventually grew on them. In time, whether people remember or not, the souls and spirits of Hiroshima will speak. The present Hiroshima is built on the bodies of those killed. Children in school, parents, and those who went searching for one another, all spirits know that will never rest until there is peace.